Hi, I'm Caden, here with my brother,
Cal,
and you're listening to Eating W's.
eat the W.
That's a W. Let's eat one. Let's eat one. That's a W.
So, on today's episode of Eating W's, we have our NFL Week 11 recap, and of course, I am very excited to get right into it because we are starting with the Packers going to Minnesota and taking the L to the Vikings. Gotta love it, right,
Taking the L
Callan?
to the Vikings? I sure wish we had.
Huh?
Taking the L to the Vikings.
You guys took the L.
Oh, from the Vikings.
To-
Okay. I misheard there. I
guess
still just figured we had won that game.
Yeah,
Because,
but you did not.
Darnell Savage should have had 3 interceptions, and yet somehow ended with 0.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's because you guys are just dirty players, hitting Kirk Cousins in the helmet,
Oh,
dropping
yeah.
the football.
A drop? You mean when he has the possession, but his knee goes down, and then the ball drops out?
Hey.
So I thought, what happened to one knee equaling 2 feet?
Des Bryant rule.
Des Bryant rule. I thought they got rid of that rule.
They don't know what they got rid of.
They don't know. That's the thing. The NFL doesn't even know their own rules.
No.
It changes every week.
Literally, not quite every week, but not joking at all, it does change every year. Every year they
it does.
slightly change the catch rule, and they just need
And
to
every
stop.
year, something happens that the NFL has never seen before. And it always creates some sort of drama or new thing where, like, well, now we gotta make a rule for that. Or now we have to adjust the rule. Something always seems to happen.
Exactly. But all that aside, it was a hell of a game. It just really was.
It actually
Of course, I'm
was.
happy the Vikings won, but mad respect to the Packers. It was an amazing game to watch. Just barely pulled it out with a game-winning field goal, which quite
Right.
ironic. Like the Vikings hit the
If
game-winning
you had
field
told
goal.
me a
How
team was
crazy.
hitting the game-winning field goal, 10 out of 10, I would have said, well, that's Green Bay.
Yeah, exactly.
Because-
And then, ironically, Mason Crosby missed a field goal.
Mhm.
I
Hit
mean,
the upright.
Greg Joseph also missed an extra point, but bad week all around in kicking.
I think it's been a bad year for
Sorry
kickers.
to get off track, but I think it was like 20 plus missed kicks around the league.
Mhm.
Looking at every
Again,
team, which
there was
is just-
another high number at some
crazy.
point earlier this year.
But yeah,
That's what I mean. It's just a bad year for kickers all around. Ever since the extra point has been moved, seems to have just messed with all kicking psyche.
it's crazy.
And it's not even just the kickers. As you can see with Green Bay, the issue with Green Bay is the operation. It's the new long snapper, the new holder. It's just a different chemistry that's been around. We switched long snappers mid-season and switched holders and punters at the beginning of the season. So
You got to get that timing down. You got to know exactly where
Mhm.
it's going to be, when it's going to be, all that kind of stuff.
it's luckily I got an insider for how the special teams really works here because
Yeah.
I learned quite a bit on just
Crazy. I didn't even know
just
this.
how
but
important the snap is. That the snap is actually what you say blocks the edge guy.
Yeah,
Because if it's
because
quick,
you're down a guy blocking.
yeah. Because if you're
Yeah.
quick and fast with it, it doesn't give the edge guy enough time to come around.
Yeah,
So-
and then there's an exact spot where the kicker wants it to be for the holder.
Mhm.
Like, it's a whole crazy
And
operation.
you can tell that he's not getting it in Mason's spot because it seems like either if the operation's bad, you can tell. There's a couple of those last week, especially where the laces were in, they were to the left, and
Yeah.
then this week it seemed like the snap was okay. It came out pretty wobbly, but it was much better. Still not
Yeah.
perfect, and you could tell that he was having trouble getting it down right.
Well, and one thing I noticed on that kick that Mason missed in that game, and then also the couple other that he's missed this season, is he usually gets a good ball off. So I think you're correct that the holder isn't getting it down in the right
Mhm.
spot, and it's forcing him to push it one way.
Mhm.
But as for the Vikings side of it, one huge thing I noticed from the Vikings, which I loved, is of course our playbook in general was different. Justin Jefferson absolutely went off again. I can't remember. I think he has 9 catches, 169 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
It's only 8 catches.
2 clutch touchdowns at the end.
Only 8 catches.
Only 8? Oh,
Mhm.
big difference. But the big thing I noticed was we opened up our playbook so much more. I was seeing pre-snap motions, pre-snap reads happening before, different formations I had never seen from this Clint Kubiak offense.
I mean, it
And
should have
I loved
expected
it.
Green Bay should have expected it. This is the Vikings Super Bowl. This is the biggest game they're going to play this year.
Yeah.
So,
sure.
of course, we got their best game. And we still just barely lost. We're down by, 16-3 at one point? And
Well,
we just kept fighting, coming
fair.
back.
That's how the Vikings play football. We don't like blowouts. They know that it's not entertaining for the fans. They keep people interested till the end. They purposely did that.
Yeah, with that new stadium, you gotta keep fans in the stands.
Yeah, exactly. Like, when we knew it was kind of getting close, we let you score that 75-yard touchdown so we could get the ball back.
Bird
2 minutes
killing
left.
mechanism you have out there.
It does. It's very efficient at taking out birds. That's true. But overall, game of the week, in my opinion. Hell of a game to watch, whether you're a Vikings or a Packers fan or not.
I didn't agree. I didn't think we should even talk about this game. I didn't think there was a whole lot to talk about. But no, from a independent, third-party fan standpoint, it was a very entertaining game. I didn't think so because I lost. That's selfish. I'm selfish.
Let's keep it going, Clint Kubiak. Keep this playbook open. Keep us passing. Pass game opens up the run game in today's NFL. It's not the other way like it used to be.
Yeah, Zimmer finally found a woman, so he had to let Kubiak take control of the offense.
Yeah, he got himself an Instagram model girlfriend.
She's like 20, so it's definitely a gold digging situation.
Nah, man, he's just that smooth with it. Just that smooth with it. But moving on to another awesome game to watch, we had the football team going to Carolina to take on the Panthers. First game back with Cam Newton starting, and I'll give it to him. He played well. I don't really like Cam Newton, but for his first start back in a while, especially with the Panthers in a while, he played well. But the football team ended up pulling out a electrifying win. It was a cool game to watch. I think they scored late to get the lead and then kept it. So neither of us, of course, really got to watch the noon games at all, but we just kind of know some post information
some highlights
and stats and stuff.
Read some recaps and things, but
exactly.
Yeah, Heineke threw a touchdown to go ahead. Carolina had a chance to win it in the fourth at the end of the game, and Newton just couldn't pull it off. Ron Rivera called those few plays that he's had in his pocket to stop Cam Newton.
Yeah.
So
he's been waiting on him.
He called him at the right time, right when it was at the exact right time when it was needed, at the end of the game, and it worked. And I was right. What'd I say? The Ron Rivera revenge game. He went to Carolina and not only was able to beat Carolina, was able to beat a Cam Newton-led Carolina.
Which is
You're not telling me that didn't add a little
yeah.
cherry on top of that because, he went there. He got pushed out of Carolina because he couldn't, get Cam to, be that true superstar quarterback minus that 2015 season
good year.
where he hit their full potential and look what happened. But they could never consistently sustain that full, true potential, and they pushed him out, thinking, "Oh, we're gonna get an offensive guy in Matt Rule." Well, the defensive coach still has some tricks up his sleeve, and he was able to show that he got a little. I think he gave himself the game ball for that one. So.
Back-to-back good showing by defensive-minded head coaches, which is kind of crazy in today's NFL. But next up, we have the Texans, who went into Tennessee and very much upset the Titans. Now, this is something that Callan realized when we were watching the game together. But the Titans were on a 6-game winning streak, which was sandwiched between losses to the Jets and the Texans, which just blew my mind when he said that.
Which I think itself is just one of those weird coincidental anomalies. But yeah, what? that's the Titans fans right now. How the hell do we lose to the Jets and Texans, but we're able to beat the Bills and the Chiefs, and who else did they play in that 16?
The Saints.
The Saints. I think they beat Seattle. I can't remember. Maybe Tennessee. No, Tennessee's what we're talking about.
Indianapolis.
They beat themselves. Indianapolis is who I'm thinking of. But how do you beat these upper echelon teams and then just look like shit against the shits?
Tannehill with 4 picks was just the dagger. I mean, because that game at first was actually a blowout for the Texans, which was really weird. And then the Titans kind of closed the gap towards the end. But Tannehill with just a couple of back-breaking picks.
And then the Titans special teams, their return unit, I wouldn't be surprised if they had a new kick returner after that little debacle on that one point.
Chester Rogers.
For a fair catch at the 5, and then suddenly decided to block
Turned his back
the
to
gunner
the ball.
and turned his back to the ball, which
Automatically paid
it
for
feels
it.
like in elementary special teams, like they're
it
telling you
definitely
don't do
is,
that. Like, I mean,
I was shocked when I saw they did that. But overall, just crazy game. Another one that we didn't really get to
extremely
watch.
uncharacteristic performance by the Titans all
What
around.
the hell?
I
Yeah.
don't know if maybe they got one of those overconfident deals. Maybe they were just like, we don't even need to prepare
Kinda
for this
seems
team.
like that.
We're better than them. We know we're better than them. We're more talented than them.
Divisional game though, you just can't do
You
that.
can't take
do that in
divisional
a
games
divisional
lightly.
game.
Divisional games, I say, are never a trap game because they can always be a trap game. I know it's kind of a contradictory statement, but you see what I'm saying there is that a division opponent will always get up to play you.
Exactly,
No
yeah.
matter what, whether they're 0-15 or 15-0. They will get up to play you. Just like how the Vikings played their best game against their best team, the Texans played their best game against the best team they'll face all year.
Can't wait to go into Lambeau and beat you guys again. But
I
yeah,
know,
they
I'm not giving anything to say.
they-
I might call in that day.
they overlooked the Texans and they paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we had the Dolphins who went to New York to take on the Jets, and what an awful matchup on paper.
On paper,
And
I think we
get,
sent this game to London, I'm pretty sure.
yeah, and
So we didn't see it. Cause,
we didn't
you
get
know,
to actually watch this game, but we just a little bit ago was looking at some stats and some post game from it. What a hell of a game!
It was a slobber knocker.
Like
A
24
traditional
to
football
17.
game. Yeah.
Dolphins pull out the win just barely. Tua and Joe Flacco both just under 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. Great day for running the ball all around.
Yeah. Gaskins had over 100 yards. Michael
It was
Carter
an
had over
insane
100 yards.
game. Elijah Moore continued to ball out.
Mhm.
I think he has 8 catches, 141 and a touchdown.
Jalen
Granted,
Waddle had a couple nice plays and
Yeah.
a touchdown run.
big showings from rookie receivers.
Yeah.
Just what a game.
And then you got Joe Flacco and Mike White setting New York Jets quarterback records like they're Namath and Pennington. I don't know. Jets don't have a whole lot of good quarterbacks.
Testaverde.
Testaverde, Favre. I think
It's a
Favre
rough-
still has
it's a rough
the
list.
Jets touchdown record for
I-
touchdowns in the game.
Not
He threw
surprised
6
at all.
against the Cardinals, and I'm pretty sure that he still owns that Jets record. so.
Of course he does. That doesn't surprise me at all.
But yeah, the Dolphins played great. Unfortunately, no offensive line touchdowns. But-
Robert Hunt with 0 catches.
But ever
sadly.
since that touchdown, the Dolphins have been on fire. They've won 3 in a row now.
I've talked a lot of crap about Tua, but he's playing exactly as
Played
well
much
as he
better
needs
now
to.
that he's
Yeah.
healthy. After again, I thought was a bizarre scene with what they did in Baltimore, starting Jacoby Brissett, but then putting Tua in. It's like, well, I didn't get that. If Tua's healthy, start him.
I'm still by no
But-
means on the Tua train. It still makes me nervous, but he played much, much better than he
Mhm.
usually does. So
He did. He played very well, and I don't know, showing that maybe they don't need Deshaun. If he's able to close out the season on a high note, maybe they rethink
Maybe they
trying
keep
to
their
trade for
picks,
Deshaun
yeah.
Watson and trade and keep those picks.
next up, we had the Cowboys who went to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs and lost in pretty embarrassing fashion for how many weapons they have on their offense. Now, they were missing a lot of players. I can't remember the exact list off the top of my
Amari
head.
Cooper
but
was
CeeDee Lamb was a big one. Dexter Lawrence was a big one.
and well, Amari Cooper missed the whole game because of COVID.
Oh, I didn't even know
CeeDee
Amari
Lamb
Cooper
got a
was out.
concussion during the game.
Yeah.
So he was out. I think that happened in the second quarter.
They had a couple of defensive guys out.
Mhm.
But
But that shouldn't matter. And here's another perfect example of what I'm saying about Mike McCarthy. That Dallas team, even minus those guys, still has a ton of talent. But you have Andy Reid on the other side, who is a pretty smart coach, Bieniemy, pretty smart coach. And look, they were able to out-coach the Cowboys and beat all that talent and keep them out of the end zone even.
yep,
For the
0
second
touchdowns for the
time this
Cowboys.
year, the Cowboys have been kept out of the end zone. With that team, that shouldn't happen. You just
No.
not saying you should win every game, but you should be in every game. You should be scoring points every game, touchdowns every game.
Well, because, so let's say, even without CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper, like, don't get me wrong, those are huge blows to the offense, but they still have a good receiving core. They got Michael Gallup, They got Cedric Wilson, who's kind of having a revival in his career.
At the tight end.
Good tight end.
Stepping up.
They got a rookie, Simi Fehoko.
Have Pollard and
much,
Zeke. If your wide receivers go down, I say, oh, well, we have an Pro Bowl All-Pro running back and a young stud running back. Maybe I'll lean on them. But I don't know.
And an all-around solid offensive line. I think Tyron Smith missed again, but still huge names on that offensive line with guys like Zach Martin.
Right, they still have Zach Martin, Travis Frederick. You know, again, they're not missing a whole lot of pieces. They are, but they aren't because the talent on the pieces that are still there is very good. That's like with, I forgot to mention with the Green Bay game, we unfortunately, the biggest loss of that was losing Elton Jenkins to a torn ACL for the season.
Time, that really sucks.
And it looks like we'll get Bakhtiari back after the bye. But we still have Billy Turner, we still have Josh Meyer, we still have Luke Pat, and we still have other guys. Just because yes, a big piece goes down, which sucks. Not saying it's positive, but you gotta be able to respond to that and still carry on.
Resilience is huge.
Resilience, exactly. It's not one player; it's the whole team. It's like I said about the Rams. I will play those 3 defensive players that they have every goddamn game if you put just those three guys out there, because I bet they get shut out.
Yeah. It was. I still, a lot of people are still back on the Chiefs are back train, but they didn't play well. Like Chris Jones played well.
Chris Jones won that game.
Chris Jones pretty much single-handedly won that game.
Chris Jones just didn't want to lose to Dak Prescott because they had a little Mississippi State bet. They both went to Mississippi State.
I forgot about that.
So I think that was the only thing that really motivated Chris Jones to be like, we're winning this game. Because Mahomes can do everything he can to fuck this up, but I'm going to just make Dak do an even bigger mistake.
Yeah, Mahomes didn't play well. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was fresh off of injury, but he didn't play overly well. Tyreek didn't play overly well, and no one on the defense.
Kelsey kind of finally stepped up.
Played pretty well.
He was their biggest offensive star, but.
And then outside of Chris Jones, no one on the defense single-handedly truly stepped up nowhere near anything he did. They played okay as a unit, but that game was just surprisingly sloppy overall for the two teams there.
And it should have been a shootout, one of those true high-powered shootouts. The over on that game was at like 68.5, and it was end up with what, 26, 27, 28,
like that,
19 to 9, 28. So yeah, I mean, I don't know anybody that took the under on that game, but if you did, I mean, you probably did as just a this probably ain't gonna happen kind of bet, but whatever.
It was wild to say the least. But next up, we got a divisional matchup with the Cardinals going into Seattle and taking on the Saints, and Colt McCoy balling out and picking up the Cardinals.
Did you know that in the last year, the only quarterback to win in Seattle, including Seattle quarterbacks, is Colt McCoy? Colt McCoy has, including Seattle quarterbacks, the quarterback with the best winning record in Seattle Stadium.
Oh, with the best winning record? You said the only quarterback to win.
Oh, my bad. I did mess that up. I was trying to remember a tweet I read earlier because he started for Washington last year and went into Seattle and beat them.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
And then he obviously started for Arizona last week, went into Seattle and beat them. So yeah, I can't remember. I should have favorited that because it was an amazing tweet of just I think it was the best winning percentage of quarterbacks over the last year, and Colt McCoy is the leader.
That's
a 2-0 record.
That's funny, but again,
that just goes to show how far Seattle has fallen.
This was kind of an injury bowl for the Cardinals. But they still got the win, so it didn't really matter.
Colt McCoy no playing, Kyler, Hopkins was out.
No Nuke. Colt McCoy really played well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for the role he had to step up into and not having his receiver one, he played well. Isaiah Simmons really took a big step, I'd say. He didn't make a ton of plays, but he made some clutch plays, including a big-time sack on Russ. Mm-hmm. Didn't get to watch a ton of this game, but I know the Cardinals won, and I know that they played surprisingly well for the situation.
It's sounding like Russ is gone. It's now looking like Russell Wilson gets traded before any other quarterback.
It's that finger. I mean, when you have that kind of injury to your throwing,
I think he rushed. I think he rushed back.
I think he big time rushed back.
I just, I don't know how great Geno Smith would have did. Maybe that had part of it, where they were like, man, our season's going down. It was getting close to code red there. Now they aren't code red. They're 3-7 in the NFC West. I mean, they're 2 games behind the wild card team at 5-5.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So there's just a lot of chatter that Russ is gone next year because he's not looking like he wants to be there. They're letting Russ cook, and he ain't cooking the best meals right now.
Not at all. Next up, we got the Colts, who went to Buffalo and pretty well just dominated the Bills. I mean, Jonathan Taylor, more than anything, again, for like the 3rd or 4th week in a row, single-handedly just destroyed the opposing defense. No other word for it.
I haven't seen a running back be involved in the MVP discussion since that Adrian Peterson year.
After
when he almost broke the rushing record. And I think he should have won the MVP that year. I don't know if Jonathan Taylor is going to get up to those numbers. He could. If he continues this performance, I'm not sure what his projections are right now.
200 yards a week.
But he's getting almost 200 a week rushing. That doesn't even include total yards. But rushing, he's dropping over 150. He's single-handedly bringing my fiance back in fantasy football. She went from 7th at like 2-7 to now she's like 6th with a chance to jump into the playoffs with a win this week. So
ESPN
if she gets into the playoffs, she's going to win.
He's averaging almost 50 points a week.
That's huge. That's a ton of points for a standard league.
Not average. More averaging like 40, but he dropped 50
He dropped
50
last
50,
week.
yeah.
55 I think last week. But yeah, he is averaging high 30s, low 40s, which is
just
insane
for
a standard fantasy league.
But yeah, the Bills,
I don't know what the Bills are doing. I guess it's the rushing.
They
have a very strong pass defense.
Bad, yeah.
And I guess if you can run on them, you can beat them. And then, I don't know if Josh Allen gets flustered or what.
I don't know, because that's what I was going to say. At the start of the game, they didn't look overly bad, but then it just got out of hand, and they couldn't respond.
He had 2 or 3 picks. Josh Allen did. He only had 2 touchdowns. Diggs was under 100 yards. He did have a touchdown, but, I mean, Diggs is your number one. It should be Allen and Diggs all day.
Yeah.
And then, same thing. That Buffalo team has a lot of talent to be getting beat by that much. They got Devin Singletary, Emmanuel Sanders, Cole Beasley, Zach Moss, Dawson Knox, all young, good guys, and then a couple of savvy veterans. That team should be doing way better in games. Not saying that, again, that they should be winning every game, but they shouldn't be losing by 40 points.
No, it was quite
That's
embarrassing
crazy
for the Bills overall, to say the least.
I don't know what to think of the Bills. I'm starting to... Are they a bad team? Are the Bills a bad team? Like the Chiefs? Or is everybody just trying to get Eric Bieniemy?
I don't know. It's just been a year, to say the least. I don't know what's happening. Steelers-Chargers is what we're going to finish up with next before we get to our quick kicks. And this game was probably next best game of the week behind Packers-Vikings.
This was my vote as the game of the week for obvious reasons. But it was another very entertaining game. I think Pittsburgh was down by 17
I was gonna say,
in the third quarter.
Chargers were up big time at one point.
Came back and tied it, went ahead, and then the Chargers got a go-ahead touchdown.
Yeah.
And
something like that.
Wow. Yeah, I watched this game late, the replay later at night, so it skipped ahead some. But yeah, it looked like it went from a LA blowout to Pittsburgh sneaking in and winning to a fantastic ending with the Chargers scoring. And
yeah, they were down by 2 or 3 possessions, and then they scored, and then automatically got like a pick or a fumble recovery in Chargers territory. I can't remember exactly.
Justin Herbert threw a pass that went off of Cam Hayward's helmet.
That's what it was.
Right out of the replacements, except the offensive lineman, Big Sumo, didn't catch it and run in the end zone. It was Cameron Sutton for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And, so that gave them the go-ahead, or it was either the go-ahead score or the tying score.
I think it was tying.
Yeah, and then, then LA just goes down and gets a touchdown after that. That's just, It was a wild game
Man.
for something in the first half that looked like a blowout.
Now that he's a rookie, he doesn't get quite as much clout around him, but Herbert's still balling out.
Mm-hmm.
I've never talked a ton about Herbert. I think I got a weird little grudge with Herbert for stealing Offensive Rookie of the Year from Justin Jefferson, but I would still respect the hell out of him. I'll admit it that he's going to be good. I hope he can keep playing well because, like I said, he doesn't get talked about as much this year, but he's playing just as well, if not better. So, moving on to our quick kicks, we're going to start with the Ravens-Bears. Bears take a embarrassing loss, losing to Tyler Hudley, not Lamar Jackson, and losing Justin Fields in the process to a broken rib injury.
Mm-hmm.
So that is going to lead to Andy Dalton starting next week for the Bears, so that's going to be fun to see. But Darnell Mooney had himself a little bit of a coming out game.
He did. It's just, I think that's on the coaching, and it's crazy how a fall from grace. Coach Nagy was Coach of the Year just a few short years ago, and now it sounds like he's going to get fired after Thanksgiving because, that's when NFL does holidays.
Big time, big time, big time. Next up, another NFC North team. We had the Lions go to Cleveland and just barely drop one against the Browns. They played a pretty close game, probably one of their closest of the season, but it wasn't. They've had a lot of close games this season, actually.
This was actually one of their
but it was still under
away games.
It was only a 6-point game. I think the Browns won it 13-7.
13-10.
13-10.
Yeah, it was a shit show of a game.
It was definitely a shit show of a game, I agree. DeAndre Swift continued to ball out, though. Baker looked a little better off of his shoulder injury. He played a little better. So
he was not happy with the win. He walked out of his press conference after because they kept asking him, about the win and I don't know, something about. But basically, it was like, this is not a celebrated win. Like, we should have won by way more. I mean, no offense, but yeah, the Browns were looked at as possible AFC champions, division champions, and they're barely losing or winning against the Lions, who haven't won a game still.
I didn't see that. Next up, we had the Saints go to the Eagles and get dominated by the Eagles. Jalen Hurts had himself a hell of a game, 2 rushing touchdowns and a couple of passing touchdowns, I believe, on top of it.
And it's looking like Sirianni and Jalen Hurts have finally maybe gotten on the same page a little bit.
Definitely.
Caught a little bit of fire. The Eagles won a few in a row. We'll see if they can carry it on. I don't know. What are they, 5-6? 4-6? So, yeah. So it's still possible playoffs, but it'll probably be a wild card if they do, and they're going to have to keep winning if they really want to do that.
We'll see how Dallas keeps playing.
It depends what Dallas does, really. Dallas could lose that division more than the Eagles could win it.
Yep. Next up, we got the Bengals, who went to Las Vegas to take on the Raiders and got themselves a win. Like we said last week, this was kind of a do-or-die game for both these teams, and the Bengals just did better, to say the least. I think they won pretty comfortably, especially towards the end.
Yeah, the Raiders just look like all the controversy is kind of finally starting to exhaust them a little bit. I think Derek Carr is doing everything he can, but, man, I mean, I think Beyonce starting to maybe, get a little overwhelmed by the game. Now they're starting to figure him out, what he does. He's not able to adjust very well. I mean, he didn't expect to have to adjust these kind of things. So, not a whole lot of blame on him, but that's just the way the NFL goes. And, yeah, when you have all that trouble, it's going to come back to get you at some point. I mean, you can fight through it, but, man. But, hey, we've hit double digits now on days without incidents for the Raiders.
Good for them. They're really killing it.
We're into double digits again.
That's impressive. Next up, we have the Giants at Bucks. Bucks continued to prove themselves as a pretty good team. Or, not really. I should say the Giants continued to prove themselves as not a good team is more what happened. It was a good mixture of both, but I'd say more towards the Giants.
Yeah. The Giants had their chances to tie, take leads, and it seemed like when it was just that time to clutch up to show that they're a team that belongs, they just faltered. They just faltered.
They got a couple of chances to prove that, and I think went 0-4, to say the least.
And so the result of that is early this morning, they fired Jason Garrett, their offensive coordinator of 2 years. Because, he did so well in Dallas that New York was like, we want that. So they were like, what's better than Jason Garrett? Mike McCarthy doppelganger Freddie Kitchens, who's coming in to replace Jason Garrett, who was the coach of a bad Dallas team, getting replaced by the coach of a bad Browns team, who's the doppelganger of a bad Cowboys coach now, and I don't know. That whole group of coaches there is real bad.
They're thinking up a sci-fi web.
Yeah.
Next up, we have the Pats, who went to the Falcons on Thursday Night Football, and I use this word a lot, but it's because it happens a lot. The Pats just dominated the Falcons. There wasn't much to say about it. I think they shut him out. I think the Pats' defense ended with at least 4, if not 5 interceptions by the end of the night. 5 interceptions.
The Falcons,
on 3 different quarterbacks.
Falcons had 3 different quarterbacks throw interceptions, including Josh Rosen coming in and throwing back-to-back interceptions. That one was a pick 6.
The chosen
Rosen.
He has finally made his way.
Man, that poor kid. He never got a full chance. It's just too bad.
The 9 mistakes ahead.
And I like how New England scored 25 unanswered.
That was just
Atlanta is like, you guys are so fucked up.
It was.
They missed the extra point on purpose.
I think
to score 25
I think
unanswered.
Nick Folk purposely missed that extra point.
Oh, I'm pretty sure he did. Belichick told him, go ahead and whiff this one.
Yeah, for real. And then finally, we have the 49ers, who went to Jacksonville to take on the Jags, and I wouldn't say dominated per se, but they won pretty comfortably. Now, Urban came out after the press conference, or after the game apparently, in a press conference, said Trevor Lawrence played his best game. I got to watch literally none of this game. I don't think
just highlights is all I saw. And the highlights didn't show a lot of Trevor Wilson. Trevor Wilson.
Jesus. When you only drop, I don't know how you can only drop 10 points though and have your best performance.
Right, that's what I'm saying. And the highlights didn't have a whole lot of Trevor Lawrence in them, so it's like, well, I don't know what Urban saw. Maybe there was something, more schematically or whatever that he saw that was like, okay, there's improvements, but as far as for game film, didn't look a whole lot different than any other Jaguars game this week or this year.
Yeah. So that was our NFL Week 11 recap. Stay tuned and make sure to watch our next episode for probably the worst week of the NFL, in our opinion. It
looks like it. We're actually talking about sending this whole next week to London.
It's going to be a fun episode because it is garbage matchups pretty much across the board. But thank you all so much for listening. And until next time, don't forget
to eat the W.